I'm Brenton Gosztyla. I'm a referral surgeon at JCU Vet Hospital, working in the surgical department. I grew up in the Kimberleys in northern Western Australia in a very small town and wanted to be a vet very early on, probably when I was 8 or 9 or 10. Our nearest vet was about 400 kilometres away, and every sort of 3 months or so they'd do the rounds and they'd visit the local towns. And I guess at that time I'd seen what they did for a job and always was passionate about animals. Determined back then that I wanted to be a vet. It wasn't a straight through pathway for me, but I got there in the end. At the age of 13, and our family decided to move over to Queensland. Through high school, I still wanted to be a vet, and that was still my goal. However, my grades probably didn't allow it at that point. I finished in grade 11, went and did some alternate work for a while when I was a stockman for a number of years, and then did some paper making and a cert 2 in paper making. And I always still had that passion to be a vet, and a few years after school, when I was around the early 20s, JCU had advertised that they were going to open up a vet school, and about that time I decided probably about time to knuckle down and actually do something. So I went and redid high school, went back to Hitley Adult Secondary, did grade 11 and 12 in the 1 year and did quite well at that. I guess I was still determined then. And JCU Vet was meant to open the following year, so I was lined up ready to go, and I submitted all my paperwork so I can get a position. But something happened and they delayed the opening of the school for 12 months. So I thought, well, what do I do now? I had a certificate now, and so I thought, well, I might as well take my second option, which was a Bachelor of Biomedical Science. So I went through to JC and did a Bachelor of Biomedical Science. And then I had way too much fun my first year. And I dropped my GPA way off the mark where I was required to go into vet. So then I pretty much spent the remainder of that whole degree working on my GPA and trying to improve it and get it back to where it was so I could get accepted into vet science. So 3 years went past, and every year I would apply hoping to get into vet, and I didn't. And then finally after I graduated Bachelor of Biomedical Science, I still applied for vet science. First intake I didn't get in, so I started making alternate plans as to what I was going to do next. At that point I started a company with some family members and in kitchens and flooring. So I went down a totally different avenue and totally different pathway. So we started doing that. Again, second round of offers came out. I still didn't get into vet science at that stage. So by January, I was down in Melbourne doing a number of courses for this new company that I'd opened and investing in the stock and in facilities for it. And I'm pretty sure this happened was maybe late January, early February. I got a phone call while I was in Melbourne, and it was from the JC Vet School, and they pretty much asked me, hey, do you still want to go and do vet science? And my immediate response was yes, totally. It's okay, great, you start in 10 days. So I had to put everything on halt, pause everything at that point and race back to Townsville and start vet science. So I was pretty excited about it. Luckily, I guess due to the previous degree, I was able to get some credits, and my first year wasn't too hectic. I had part-time the first 6 months or 12 months of my vet degree, and I was able to run a business for a while on the side, but after first year that did not happen. It was way too demanding of a degree to work at the same time, in my opinion, so I cancelled my business and focused on vet for the following 5 years. So I think I graduated and I started work within 2 weeks of graduation, and that was back in December 2012. When I started working, it was good. I really enjoyed the first few years. Your learning curve through vet's pretty intense. It climbs pretty fast, especially in comparison to my previous degrees. But when you graduate, it just skyrockets. You learn fast, you learn practical, you learn on your feet, and it's all applicable, so it makes sense, and you retain it a bit better. And all those things that you've been learning at uni finally click into place, and you solidify it all. So you learn really fast the first few years. It makes it really interesting, really tiring, a lot of work, but there's a lot of satisfaction from that. So that I was happy with the position that I had. I was a small animal general practitioner for the first 5 years of my career. Towards the end of that, I guess my learning curve really slowed down. I had no one to teach me further surgical skills where I'd found my interest, and I'd gone as far as I could advance myself in teaching myself. When you work somewhere, you want to work somewhere that ticks a number of boxes, and that is also being paid well, enjoying working with the people around me, and one of the biggest ones for me is learning. And in my previous position, it got to a point where that had really slowed down. So all the other boxes were going great. I enjoyed who I worked with, and I enjoyed my salary, but the volume of learning in surgery for me had significantly decreased. So yeah, at that point in my career, I'd had nothing of it. I had a bit of, difficulty communicating with a few clients at that point, and they just pushed me over the edge, and dissatisfied with my learning and dissatisfied with my progression at that point. And I was this close to finishing. I was ready to throw it in and not be a vet anymore. I was looking for anything else I could do other than vet. And just by chance, I guess, I had a phone call from Craig Thompson, who also works at JCU. Craig was the referral veterinarian in my position when I was a student, so he taught me, and we remained friends ever since then. It's interesting how much impact someone can have on you in 2 weeks working together, or you don't realise it as someone working in this hospital how much impact you have on the students. I guess, yeah. So anyway, Craig and I remained friends since he taught me back in vet school. And at that point in my career, he gave me a phone call and said, "Hey, I'm leaving to do a residency. Do you want my job?" And it was pretty straightforward, and the interview pathway was straightforward. He gave me a fairly good rap, probably a rap that's much better than I deserved at that point. But I got the job at JCU as a referral surgeon, and luckily enough, since then, Craig maintained visiting JCU while I was growing as a surgeon and learning more, which was very, very helpful and probably influenced that a lot. And then lately, I've also had Jason Mowat as another mentor through surgery, so helped me advance my skills in that location.
So Brenton had been here for a while, and I think he'd hit a ceiling, and he was someone, but I could see he was really keen to learn. And with a little bit of encouragement and just a little bit of support, he's just gone ahead in leaps and bounds, and just having that opportunity to see things done a little bit differently, push himself just a little bit harder, but then to have the guidance and backup that I've been able to give him, just to know that he's in the right direction. And he has just gone leap after leap after leap in the last sort of 1 to 2 years. And you can see how much more he enjoys and loves what he does, just having that opportunity.
Because it's JCU teaching hospital, everyone's really focused on teaching. You can't work here without learning. It's just the environment that it is. If you came in the building and just sat down and just sat still and did nothing, you would still learn. It's a good place to work.